Hey, everybody, this is Josh Culverhouse with ORAFOL Americas. We're here today with Joseph Price from Artworks Commercial Graphics in Irving, Texas. We appreciate you being here today to share some knowledge and share some stories about your experience. Let's kick it off. Tell us a little bit about your background, when you started, how long ago, and just a little bit about your experience.
Well, thanks, Josh, for having me on here. Been in business for about going on 21 years and started at a dealership for 18-wheelers back then called Dallas Peterbilt. I was a porter, so I was picking up trash in the body shops and stuff. And they had this lettering department that they call at the time. It had just this little bitty machine, 15-inch wide plotter machine. Didn't even have a computer with it yet. It was one of those where you actually had to type in on the machine.
Oh, nice.
One day, Jim was running that shop, and I was out cleaning a bay, and he needed help putting some stripes on a truck. And I guess it was just kind of natural for me. I got in there. He kind of showed me a couple little things, gave me a squeegee. I helped him for 2 days, and then after that, I was transferred into the lettering department. Within about 3 years, we had taken that small lettering department, turned it into a full graphic department doing custom stripes on 18-wheelers. By then, I was already running it and teaching myself how to go. And about that time is when ORAFOL kind of came into the spotlight with me. I was over at one of my dealers that there were retailers or whatever you want to call it, picking up some material, and they had an old ORAFOL 651 color chart. And I thought it was really cool because they were glossy. Yeah. At the time, calendared film was all just matte finish, or kind of luster. You didn't have that gloss. And so I ran the graphics there, got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then decided that I wanted to own my own company. When we opened it, my first shop that I actually owned was about the size of maybe someone's bedroom.
Fast forwarding to today, I recently was in your shop for our certification class a few months back, and it's a pretty impressive operation that you have now. What kind of equipment are you running these days, from your printers to your laminator, plotter, softwares, all that stuff?
So on our printers, we're running the HP latex printers. We have a couple of those. We also run a roll-in printer.
Okay.
And that one, I believe, is a 6-color printer. We're running the orange. Went out to get the rolling specifically so I could hit some really cool colors on custom wraps. Yeah. We have a Vanguard flatbed 5x10 printer. We have a multicam 5x10 router. We have 3. Don't get me lying on the laminators. It's a hot and cold laminator, man.
Yeah. Typical laminator. Okay.
Laminator.
Yeah.
We got a few of those, the 64-inch ones. Every time I moved up a plotter or something, I always kept my eye out on what are other people doing? What are they doing? What's the industry doing? Yeah. What's happening out there? How can I make myself more valuable to this client over here? Yeah. So looking at those things, I always wanted to make sure that I was always upgrading in a way that I could sustain it and pay for it, but at the same time, keep myself at the same level as everybody else or better.
Joseph, you're in a very, very competitive market there in the Dallas metro area. So what are some of the things that you've done, as you've kind of developed your business over the years to kind of stand out from the crowd in that major metropolitan area?
From the very beginning, even before I even owned my own company, I take a whole lot of pride and stock into how people are treated. They should get everything that they're paying for. People love that, especially in the fleet industry. They want to be taken care of. They want to know that the person that they're dealing with knows how important their job is. Those $75 jobs that come in, those people are respected and talked to just like our huge fleet clients, is to offer as much product as I can. Yeah. And to know knowledge, man, golly, people can read that.
I can count on both hands, the number of times where you've reached out, raised your hand, and I've got this interesting application coming up. I want to validate what I'm thinking here. You've researched our literature, but you always want that validation. That's one thing that I've really am pleased to kind of experience with you is you're not afraid to ask questions, and you're not afraid to grill ORAFOL or any of your other preferred manufacturers on what the best product is for the project you're working. Kind of walk us through how you do your homework and some of the assets and the people that you pull in to help you with those decisions, on these pretty high profile jobs.
There's times where we have to deal with laying on concrete that has had been wrapped 1 billion times and still has adhesive on it, stuff like that. When I get into those situations, I have to know, is this material going to work? My first idea. And then usually what I do with my first idea is I usually go to, like you said, the ORAFOL literature, kind of look at that, scan that through. I usually reach out to Sam, get his intake on my idea. Then I usually sometimes will reach out to other colleagues in the industry. I reach out to my own installer, say, hey, we're going to be laying this. We've got 14,000 square feet that we got to install in 2 days. Do you feel comfortable with this material, or do you want to go thicker material? Do you want to go thinner material and get that? And then I have to take all that to what they're going to be comfortable with.
So many shops we see get stuck in that, vortex of, I'm just going to use the same thing for every application. And, maybe it works 80% of the time. And then, it's either you're shooting a snail with a bazooka and it's way overkill, or, you're trying to hunt elephants with, bazooka bubble gum. And,
right.
And so it's really encouraging to see, the amount of homework and effort that you put into using that correct material, because there's so many shops out there that, they don't do that homework. So, kudos to you in that regard. So that's a big deal.
It's talking to people.
It is. It's a lot of communication and, taking 5 minutes to do some homework, reap those rewards later on down the road. So Joseph, you do quite a bit. You really do it all in this industry, from those solid color restyling jobs to custom rust bucket bumblebee transformer projects to commercial fleets to architectural to wayfinding throughout municipalities. How do you manage all of that? What are those challenges that you face having to manage those types of projects simultaneously?
A lot of the problems or challenges that we run into is people, having the right people. You got to know not everybody's great at everything. Mm-hmm. And finding that person for that project that can handle that project, know they can do that project so that you can move over and then focus on another project. And that's key, having backup is a huge thing. So, and then having backup for yourself, which is, for me, it's my wife and kids, having their support and them understanding what I do. Some people have trouble just going from fleet graphics to color change, and being able to do both of them is difficult sometimes. And it is, you have to want it. Yeah. And you have to understand that there's a lot of sacrifice that goes on in that. The rewards are great, but sometimes you don't see them for a long time. Yeah. It's reaching out to those people that can do the job. It's going to cost you money. Yeah. But if you try to do it all yourself, the job ain't going to work. It's going to go down. Something's going to mess up. Understanding who's really good at what they do and bringing them in to involve is how you can do all of it at one time. So
3 things that I've kind of gleaned from that is good people, communication, with client and contractors and your team, as well as good project management skills and time management. So kind of transitioning a bit, to your commercial wrap side of your business, there's a lot of competition in your local area. And, one of the things I've noticed on some of your projects as of late is the way you're able to help those clients kind of stand out from their competition using, higher end laminates that last longer, to implementing more reflective, so they stand out more in the evening and nighttime and in cruddy conditions where it's overcast. So with a lot of your commercial jobs, they've also kind of turned into custom jobs, more so than your turnkey traditional wrap. Where the whole fleet looks the same as everybody else's fleet. So kind of explain how you came about working through some of those upsell opportunities with your clients and how you have those conversations. And
the very beginning, when I first opened up the shop, I tend to look at every job as something special for me. And I want to give my clients something that is spectacular or awesome, even if it's a fleet truck. I don't care. I want it to be great. I was doing a fleet of mixer trucks, and Peterbilt wants to put in a booth at a truck show or whatever of one of our new ones. What's something cool we can do? And I said, well, hey, let's change the stripe up a little bit, and then let's do reflective. We've done probably 500 trucks since then of just theirs, all reflective. They completely changed their entire fleet to the green reflective. When I left Peterbilt, they followed me. And so I've been working with them for 25 years.
You've seen reflective technology really advance over those years.
Yeah, it's a lot different. We had one fleet probably about 7 years ago. We want you to do one band. And we got two other people that did quotes. Anyways, they're the big dogs. They're way bigger than I was back then. Way bigger. How am I going to compete with these guys? I mean, I've got to do one. That shop's going to do one, and that shop's going to do one. And then they're going to have them all cut. Those three come, and then they're going to pick who's the best. Oh man, I was stressed. One of my employees came in, and that time it was just us. I mean, just three of us.
Yeah.
And he's like, "So what are you going to do, man? Or do you want to wrap it? You want me to wrap it?" I'm like, "Man, it's got to be precise, but I need something better than that."
Yeah.
What can we do? So we're sitting there. I was like, you know what? There's a lot of white lettering on it. Nothing was called out in the specs for reflective.
Yeah.
But their logos, all their phone numbers, everything was just white text in the wrap, right? So I was like, man, what if we take and do all their text on their truck as spot graphics and do it in reflective?
Yeah.
And then when they set them, the three trucks side by side, I'll tell them to take a picture with a flash.
And smart.
That's what it's going to look like at night. Yeah. We got our truck done. We went and sat next to their trucks. And the next day he called me up and said, Joseph, you got the contract. I remember him telling me that the owner looked at him and said, whoever did this one gets the contract because that person thought out of the box.
Yeah. Well, that's a big thing, in this industry is showing and telling. And you can tell all day long, but one thing we talk about in our wrap classes, and you went through it last year, our certification course, but in the business section of those classes, it's like you have to take really good photos of all of your work, to show those clients, what you're talking about when you're trying to sell them a project like that. For an example, when we're doing fleet work in our training classes, we're telling people, hey, there's 2 or 3 ways you can do a door handle, set up in a fleet wrap. So when you're doing these differently from one client to the other, and you're going to explain what you're doing to that client ahead of time, and you have pictures to show them option A, B, or C on how they want those door handles processed. Mm-hmm. That's worth 1,000 words.
Absolutely.
With that comment earlier about you've seen reflective technology evolve quite a bit over the years. So back then you were probably using a sign grade, engineered glass bead grade film that was permanent, no air egress.
Break on demand.
It shakes off in little shards. You have to be super delicate. It was really ultimately designed for background sheeting on a speed limit or a stop sign, to then probably back in 2005, four, Oralite 5600 came out. It has a cast top layer, removable with heat. It's not going to leave all the glue behind. You've seen it evolve into 5650 RA with the Aerograss, removable with heat. Now you've been one of the early adopters of the 5600 RA. So, as I just explained, there's, years and years and years of advancement in reflective technology, just in that specific segment of reflective. So, what are some of the things that you, I guess, have really liked about implementing that 5600 RA into more of a wrap style?
Yeah, the 5600 RA, it's like working with something totally new. Yeah. We use a lot of the 5650 RA for the fleets and stuff, with the Aerograss, which is a wonderful product. Especially since it comes in 54-inch. A buddy of mine's car, Quinn, did that. We did door jams. We did everything on that one. The conformability and the ability to basically treat it like you're laying vinyl is kind of cool. It makes it really nice for the installers. Being able to correct it, to heal the bruising. Everybody knows the bruising. I mean, being able to correct that is a huge player for the 5600 RA.
That's why we came out with that product, advanced the 5650 RA, because that was very aggressive. It bruised easily, but it's a great product for flat, applications where you don't have to manipulate the material a lot. And folks were asking for a more conformable, easier to use, little less tack, and ultimately better removability. When we saw you kind of migrate over to that 5600 RA into some of those, more complex wrap applications and door jams, incredible. And there was no bruising in it. Still, at the end of the day, it is reflective material, so it is a little more complex. But for professional installers that are comfortable wrapping anything, it's a new challenge to wrap with reflective materials. During our certification business development course, we talk about cost of ownership. And I remember talking with you during that class in Kansas City, because you brought some good examples to the table of cost of ownership. Not enough people talk about that with their clients. All they think about is the upfront cost of having it designed and installed. But at the end of the day, that wrap, traditionally, most of your clients are probably leaving these wraps on longer than they should. And what happens to those wraps long term, is not good. And it makes it more difficult to remove because the material's beat up, it's starting to break down. They should have removed it a year or so prior. So you have adopted our ORAGuard 289 polyurethane laminate as an upgraded option, which ultimately adds durability, but it also makes it easier to remove down the road because it's not allowing that base PVC film to break down as fast.
What it gives you in return for the wrap to last longer, and especially your hoods and roofs. Oh man.
When that wrap is beyond the point where it's still able to be removed relatively cleanly and easily in a short amount of time, is now going to take, maybe a full day, 2 days to remove because it's caked onto the car and the adhesive is completely just permanent to that automotive paint. And what's a wrap like that cost to remove? Several $1,000s.
Oh yeah, I can get up to that. Yeah.
So, for that extra, $150 on the laminate up front to get additional years out of your wrap and to make that removal maybe a couple $100 versus a couple $1,000 on the back end, those are things that wrap shops, we really want to make sure that they're conveying, the end-to-end cost of ownership. And, you've done a really good job with that because, being in the Southern United States, you're going to face that more than somebody up in, Wisconsin or Michigan.
Because it's not only just the 289Fs or the 290s, it's picking the right, 3751 or 3951 or the 3551 for the job that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, that project that's sitting behind you on the wall, a lot of people are probably like oohing and awing on how cool that is, because it kind of takes us back to our childhood watching Scooby-Doo. But so that is a layered project. That is not a printed wrap. Kind of walk us through how you constructed that.
We had this client come to us and say, hey, for my daughter's graduation, she was graduating high school. They wanted to buy her this van and she's in love with Scooby-Doo, and they thought it would be cool to give her the mystery machine. First, I was kind of, I don't know how I want to do this. A lot of people print them. You see some that are blue, some that are the more of a teal color. So I was sitting there one day and with one of my designers at the time, and I was like, okay, design this up. Let's get it, on paper so I can look at it. But I don't want to just print it. I want to bring in some glosses and some mattes and stuff like that. Let's really give them something special. So we started flipping through the ORAFOL chart and found the colors we wanted, the 970 colors. And we wrapped the whole base matte in. And then we came back and did the green. And then we came back and did the orange and black, all layered. It's really cool. If you saw it in person, it's really, really awesome because it looks nice and flat all the way down the way it's done. But the whole purpose was to give true colors and to mix the mattes and the glosses. ORAFOL themselves, these guys are great. They stand by their product. It's the reason why I use them.
Well, Joseph, we really appreciate your time today, your insights, your stories, your experiences. Thank you for sharing those with everybody.
Thanks for having me. This is a blast.